Hello, I'm Crimson Clover, and welcome back to Clover Reads. Today I've decided to meander over to the Best of Redditor updates, where somebody is very kind enough to collate an entire post and the user's updates into a single post so you can read it at your convenience without being too afraid of missing something. So, the user who did the repost on Best of Redditor updates is Choice Evidence 1983, and the original poster is Aggravating Start 7703. Am I the asshole for throwing my pregnant sister-in-law's groceries away? Depends on why. Trigger warnings for food allergies. Editor's note, OOP posted, now deleted in the Am I the Asshole sub with the same original post. I did meander my way to look over there, and the original post is gone, but there are repostings with minor updates. Hello, this is a throwaway account and a repost and update of sorts because my post got taken down from the other Am I the Asshole sub. Oh, that's different from what I thought. My brother and his wife Laura, who is 7 months pregnant, are staying with us for a week or so since he's interviewing for jobs in the city my family and I are in. My kids love having their aunt and uncle around, and everything's been great. Yesterday, Laura went out and came back with groceries. I thanked her but told her that we don't expect them to do this. The kitchen is stocked and we'll enjoy having them. She said that she wanted to and that most were cravings she's been having. I started helping her unload the bags and noticed a lot of snacks were with peanuts. Cookies, crackers, peanut butter, even some sort of cake fusion. I wonder what kind of cake that is. It all made me uneasy because she knows my oldest, 8 Mel, is extremely allergic. I don't keep anything of the kind in our home because we've had an incident when he was younger where we almost lost him. I didn't want to be rude, but I told her that I'm not comfortable with her having this stuff in the house. She told me that she would be careful, she wouldn't need it around him or his siblings, and that she would clean up after herself. That she is having intense cravings and needed them. Oh, look, I've had 4 kids and kind of get where she's coming from, although I never had to have something, but every woman's different. I made sure my son knew not to touch any of it, to leave her alone when she's eating them. That was that. Today, I woke up early to make breakfast and open the fridge only to be greeted by strawberries dipped in peanut butter, left out without a container to chill. The peanut butter wasn't sealed properly next to them, and there were sandwiches on a plate because she likes the bread cold and soggy. Okay, to each their own, but that sounds so gross. I was pissed, reasonably so, OP. I've read enough about airborne contaminations to know that you can't really determine it, but I wasn't risking it. I grabbed a bag and started throwing everything in it. Our groceries, hers, I didn't care. I was going to take the bag, drive to a shelter, and let them know the situation. Laura woke up while I was on my rampage, came down, and asked, all upset, what I was doing. I was snippy with her and didn't try to hide it. We got in an argument with her defensively saying that I can't do this, that the baby needs it, and that it's cruel to put a pregnant woman through unsatisfied cravings. I told her bluntly that I don't give a single F. If she can't keep to her word, then I won't either, and that she'll live without her cravings. My son can't say the same with his allergy. She went back upstairs, packed her bag, came down, grabbed a bag of food, and left it in the huff. My brother was at the interview and called me a half hour later to ask what happened. He was upset with his wife, but also with me because nothing happened, and at the end of the day, my son is fine. I told my husband when he came back from work that he is completely on my side. Am I the asshole? Mini update. Like some people had predicted in the comments of the other sub, Laura did go straight to my family and started complaining. She hadn't twisted anything, told them the full honest story, and my mother was livid. She called me panting like she ran a marathon after she berated Laura to make sure my son is okay. So I can only imagine the riot act she read her. Apparently, even my stepdad gave Laura one of his disapproving frowns. My brother came back in the evening to get his stuff since Laura had only packed hers for some reason. He did apologize for what she did and said he'll have a chat with her once she's calmed down. She's been inconsolable. He told me that she's been crying since she left my mom's house and that she now feels unwelcome and loved in our family, and he blames me for it. My husband butted in and told him that's enough, that whatever she's feeling doesn't cover half of what we felt, and that she needs to get over herself, that I've been scrubbing the house from top to bottom for hours because of her actions. I did get kind of panicky and went on a deep clean of the whole house, especially the kitchen, but anyway, my brother left when he said that there's no leveling with us when we're being this stubborn. Now that I've had time to get out of the state I was in, I do feel bad that she's distressed and feels unwelcome in our family. That was never my goal. I've been debating sending her an apology, not for my actions because I stand by them, as you should be, but for the way I went about it. I shouldn't have allowed the stuff in our house in the first place, and it could have been calmer about it after I opened the fridge. I mean, the asshole has no consensus spot, but OOP was not the asshole. I don't know what a consensus spot is. Now, okay, so my own opinions is that, yeah, if you know someone has a deadly allergy to a food that you're bringing into your house, they're the problem, and they should know better. Now, she could have kept it in whatever guest room she's staying at. She didn't have to go put it in the fridge. She could have bought a cooler with a bag of ice if she wanted soggy sandwiches. Sister-in-law is not so great there. And I know of one person who, airborne contaminants, right? They would go to a movie theater and they didn't realize for a long time that they were allergic to corn, right? Because popcorn is corn. So just like all the popcorn vapors in the air and stuff made them have issues with their sinuses, made it difficult for them to breathe. And that is one of the more severe cases I've heard of, but I am sure there are more such cases. Hey, if you know of any, leave them in the comments down below if you want to share. Perfectly reasonable if you don't. And now we'll get into the comments. Commenter 1, not the asshole. If your sister-in-law doesn't get to eat her pregnancy cravings, she and her baby will be just fine. If your son is opposed to his allergen, he could get very sick or even die. Sister-in-law is a selfish, entitled asshole for thinking that her snacks were somehow more important than the life of your son. Commenter 2, this is not about anybody's feelings. This is about your son's life and safety. She just didn't bring something into the house that was deadly to him. She purposely exposed your refrigerator contents to it. Her and your brother are completely wrong for putting the blame on you. Why would you apologize for protecting your son? Now, I wouldn't exactly say purposely expose the refrigerator. Like, I have an absolutely terrible memory, and I have heard, having never been pregnant myself, that being pregnant can really mess with your memory. So, I would say more thoughtlessness. And again, with all of the hormones, that's probably what caused her to like grab her stuff and scream and storm out. For the moment. Commenter 3, not the asshole. Leave things, LC? Oh, low contact until after she has her baby. Okay. I don't think I've ever seen that, shortened like that. Then on some visit, gently ask what she would do if a guest put her precious baby in mortal danger. Right now, her hormones aren't mixing well with her princess syndrome. Best to wait until it's cleaned from her system. Princess syndrome. I've heard that a couple of times, but, not recently. Update. October 13th, 2024, 2.5 weeks later. A lot of people asked me to update, so here it is. Warning, this is a long one, and if I wasn't an asshole before, I sure am now. Are you sure about that, though? So after my mom berated Laura and my brother, yelled at my husband and I took the advice I was given and sent them a long text which ended up being a bit of a ramble about everything. How I effed the situation is, how we are disgusted by their stance, and how we're going to be going low contact until we feel ready to be around them again. That was the day after my brother packed his bags and left. I was left on red and thought that was that until a few days ago when I got a call from Laura. I thought about not answering, but curiosity got the better of me. That sounds like you shouldn't have. When I picked up, Laura tried to make awkward small talk, but I think she sensed I wasn't in the mood and got right to it. She apologized about her behavior. Oh, that's nice. Said she had no excuse other than her hormones, and we ended up having a long chat about everything. By the end of it, I actually felt better, like we could get past it and work on our relationship. Okay, this sounds good, except that I saw the update where you, where you said you are definitely the asshole. So I'm not sure where this is going. She also mentioned she would still like for my family and I to come to her birthday dinner. It wasn't going to happen at a restaurant anymore. I guess the hotel stay ended up costing them a lot, as some of you predicted, and that it was going to be at their house instead. Oh no, I see where this is going. I told her that I'll talk with my husband and get back to her. I also got a text from my brother apologizing, saying he was just trying to protect and stand by his wife. It was too soon to start mending things, as my husband pointed out, but he left the choice up to me, and I honestly believed her apology because she had never acted like this before, and she seemed actually ashamed of herself. Anyway, my sister, who was also apologized to because she tore her new one, and parents also got an apology, were also invited, but my sister's kid wanted a cousin sleepover instead of going with us, so after talking it over with my sister, we agreed for them to have one at my house. My babysitter of a year are my next-door neighbors. They're sweet and responsible, 16-year-old twins who live with a single mom. They usually team up and tackle on my kids on date nights. There's a reason I'm mentioning this. With my sisters added 2 kids to the mix, I asked their mom if she was free to join the duo, and they agreed. So I called Laura and told her that Bridget and I were coming. When we got to the house, Laura greeted my husband and I at the door. We handed her the gift and went in, but she seemed puzzled that we didn't have a trail of kids with us, so I told her that it's just us adults tonight. Reminded her? Told her? It sounds like she didn't know initially. Same thing happened when my sister and her husband walked in. Dinner was awkward, no matter how we tried to lighten up the mood, and the conversation was stilted at best, but I thought it was at least a step forward. Laura asked this time about why the kids weren't with us, that she had made special food for them. Oh no. I never mentioned the kids when I got back to her, just my husband and I, but I felt like it was my fault that I didn't clarify, so I apologized for it and thanked her for thinking of them. My sister chimed in that her kids and mine were having a cousin sleepover tonight, and how she was excited about our soon-to-be nephew to join them when he was here and older. Laura looked at her with a smile and said, "Yeah, I'm sure he'll be best friends with his cousins," as in my kids, and his step-cousins, as in my sisters. This pissed me off because we don't use step anything with the kids, but I bit my tongue. For context, my sister is technically my stepsister. I know I used stepdad in my first post. I usually call him by his first name. I consider him a parental figure since he raised me since I was 10, but I had a dad, and the title will always be his. My sister gave her a hurt look, but it was my brother who nudged his wife with a "what are you doing" look. A few minutes go by again, and with eating and light conversation before Laura asked again about our kids, mainly who was watching them all since 4 parents are here. I told her that my neighbor and her daughters are babysitting, to which she laughed and joked about how incompetent the girls and their mom must be to need all 3 of them to wrangle the kids. Also, for context, I have 4 kids. I am biased and I like to think they're well behaved, but they're sometimes too much for a single person to handle, even me. And I'm the one who brought them into this world. Add my sister's 2 kids, and it's a lot for 2 teenage girls to handle, even for just a few hours. Who expects a single teenager to handle 6 kids? We left at 7. And said we'd be back by 11. It has absolutely nothing to do with the girls who my kids adore, or their mom who is as kind as they come. Before I could retort anything, my mom stepped in with one of her smiles and told Laura that it's so kind of her to offer her own competence to watch the kids next time. That shut her up real fast. As it should. After that, dinner was even more awkward until we cleared the table. Laura brought out dessert, while my brother got the cake from the fridge. Here's where I lost the last remaining brain cells. I went to the bathroom, and when I came up, I saw my husband carrying my bag and trying to usher me out of the door to leave. He looked pissed, and I was beyond confused, and obviously resisted because yes, the dinner was a train wreck, but at least let me say goodbye and give a lame excuse for our departure. When my husband tried to literally carry me out, I knew something was wrong, and after a couple of tries, I darted past him to the dining room. Oh, you should just let your husband get you out. Laura's now ready. Dessert table consisted of peanut butter cake pops, peanut butter pie, peanut butter cookies, peanut butter brownies, and to top it off, a peanut butter birthday cake that my brother brought in and was sniffing at with a horrified look. I mean, at least your brother acknowledges that it's horrible. Laura then gave me a big smile and said loudly to my family, "I thought I should at least get to have my cravings on my birthday. Get your fill before she throws these out too." My God, that is so terrible of her. Laura, you bad! I honestly thought for a second that my sister was going to tackle her, and I wasn't that far behind her because all I could think about was the fact that she thought my kids were coming and she planned this accordingly. I felt so guilty for allowing the stuff in our house the first time, and and if my sister's kids hadn't wanted a sleepover, I was going to walk my son into danger a second time. I lost my shit. Without thinking about my actions, I grabbed Laura's head, forced her to walk towards my brother, who I think was too shocked to react, and slammed her head straight into the cake. I held it down for as long as I could while she flailed and told her I hope she chokes on her cravings before I let her go. Please be careful of the baby, but she deserves face in the cake. I honestly wanted to go for the pie too, but I had embarrassed myself enough by acting like that in the first place, so I told my brother that I had done both him and his wife, And if they try to contact me or my family again, I am filing for a protective order. Those things are harder to get than you think. Then I let my husband lead me out. My sister was cackling, so she followed us with her husband, but her parents stayed back. I heard Laura screaming profanities after us, but my stepdad raised his voice, which shut her up. I got a lot of jokes about this from about his frown on my first post, but the man is as stoic as they come. Him showing any emotion's a big deal. I remember that his frown alone growing up was enough to literally stop my sister and I in our tracks, because we knew if he gave us one, we messed up. I haven't asked my mom what happened after I left because I can't handle any more heartache from my brother or his actions. Oh my goodness. I don't think this was the update anyone wanted. Least of all me. I mean, it's the Am I the Asshole subreddit. This is entirely what people wanted. They like the drama. But I am completely done with the both of them. Good for you. Even though my brother looked like he had no idea, the stuff was in his house, happening under his roof. I'm sad that I won't be in my nephew's life, and my kids won't get to know their new cousin they've been waiting for, but I'd rather cry over that than over my son's life. I don't expect anyone to be kind in the comment sections. I'm 32. I shouldn't have been so naive, and I know I shouldn't have reacted like that, and I'm going to be dealing with this with my therapist, along with the therapy for my kids so they can better process not having their uncle and aunt around them, having been close presence in their lives. Oh my god, sister-in-law is cray-cray right now. I am really hoping that this is just the pregnancy hormones, that once she's had the baby, she'll go back to being a normal person for you, because it sounded like you had a decent enough relationship before she got pregnant. Top comments. 1. Your brother will lose his family or his wife. She won't allow him to have both. And what is she gonna do if her baby ends up with an allergy that could kill him? She's just gonna accidentally unalive her baby. I hope not. Commenter 2. When Laura invited you all for dinner at her place, I was thinking, there's no way she's gonna do it, right? There's no way she would purposely serve nuts, right? I thought that too until I saw the OP saying she's absolutely the asshole. She's not. Holy crap, this woman needs psychotic help. She either wanted harm to befall your child, or still has not learned the consequences of her actions from last time. I wouldn't believe any more apologies from this woman or your brother. Until your brother divorces this woman, he needs to be kept away from your children just as much as she does. Slamming her face into the cake does not make you an asshole. I agree. It makes you a parent who understands that this psycho needs more extreme measures to get some sense knocked into her in order to protect her family. Commenter 3. She tried to kill your child. Again, intentionally. This woman should not be allowed to have children. Not the asshole at all. And I'm not going to say that some people shouldn't be allowed to have children. But, you know, you have to take classes to drive a car. Maybe they should normalize having parenting classes. Just keep in mind how delicate and fragile tiny little beings are. Like, they're resilient, but they're also delicate and fragile and easy to hurt. Anyway, that was a bit of a roller coaster. Well, I think this was a good story for my first foray into Buster Vetter updates. Thank you to Choice Evidence in 1983 for reposting over here, and thank you to the original poster Aggravating Start 7703 for sharing your story. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, either about the story, how I did reading the story, share any stories you'd like, and maybe I'll feature them next time. I don't have a mood booster for this one because I'm just kind of in shock. Anyway, thank you for listening, and hopefully I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye!